The big question everybody wanted answered after Monza was Monza a one-off, or are we going to see McLaren being pushed much harder by Red Bull, possibly Ferrari and Mercedes going into the last races of the season? In theory, there should have been a litmus test today in Baku on the Friday. There kind of was, but I'm going to have to fudge the answer a little bit and say that because there was so much parity between the Pirelli compounds, the soft, the medium and the hard, and to some extent how many laps you did on those compounds was a function of how quickly you went as well. It's difficult on this Friday night after those two sessions to say precisely how quick everybody is. I know that's a frustrating answer, but we're really going to have to wait for qualifying. Let's have a look at the results as they are at the end of Friday, and you'll see what I mean by the tyres. Very good for his ego, very good for his confidence. Lewis Hamilton, quickest for Ferrari, but interestingly, did virtually the same lap time on the medium, slightly faster on the medium. Then he went out on the soft, did virtually the same lap time before then going a few tenths quicker, but it's very, very close. Charles Leclerc a little bit slower on the soft, and we've seen other drivers going very quickly on the medium as well. But nonetheless, that isn't to take it away from Lewis. He hit the wall in FP1, which was not a great way to begin the weekend. But I guess you could say got it out of the way, and FP2 did a really good job. Ran straight on a couple of times, took the escape road, but then why not? At least you're taking the escape road and not hitting anything. Charles Leclerc, by contrast, hit the wall lightly in FP2, which possibly slowed him a little bit. He was out at the end doing a full tank run and going very quickly, so not too much damage to the car. Both McLarens, got to say at this point, hit the wall in FP2 as well. Lando with the left rear, Oscar with the right rear. Lando's was fairly terminal, didn't come out again. Oscar did manage to get out again and did some very quick times on heavy fuel as well. So don't read too much into their overall speed, whether they be on the soft tyre or the medium. But look at these other results. We've got the two Mercedes going very well, virtually the same lap time between George Russell and Kimi Antonelli. That speaks a lot to how good Kimi is on slow speed corners, which is what I've been saying all year. He's really, really good on slow speed corners. And the fast corners here are basically flat out anyway. That's easy for me to say. There's a lot of kinks here, a lot of quick corners. There aren't corners like, for example, the Parabolica at Monza. So this circuit will be a real litmus test as well for Kimi Antonelli. Can he continue that pace relative to his teammate as the weekend gathers strength? But good to see Mercedes P3, P4. Very few upgrades to the cars for this race, Baku. Mercedes have got a new front wing flap, reduced chord, which would suggest that they thought they were perhaps generating too much drag at Monza, and they've gone to a smaller front wing. Unusual as you're going to a street circuit. And Red Bull reprofiled inboard rear wing assembly. Interesting. That's probably related to the new floor they had at Monza as well. But no changes at Ferrari, no changes at McLaren. And behind the two Mercedes, and going very quickly and looking very good again, as I've been saying all year, on the medium tyre, significantly, Oliver Bearman in the Haas-Ferrari. 41.7 for George Russell, 41.8 for Oliver Bearman. Quicker than Max Verstappen, 41.9 in the Red Bull on the soft tyre. Max didn't run the hard or the medium throughout the two sessions, which suggests that Red Bull are maybe saving the medium as much as they can going into the weekend. Maybe wrong there, but we'll see what they do tomorrow on the medium tyre. I would imagine they're going to be very quick, because at this point we should fast forward to the end of FP2 when there was about 6 laps worth of fuel running. Oscar Piastri very quick on his first lap, finished doing 47.2s, low 47s. Max Verstappen 46.5, 46.7, and then on his last lap 46.1, and he was equal quickest with Charles Leclerc with that 46.1. Lewis Hamilton 46.2, very quick as well with heavy fuel. And judging by Max's tone of voice, you can gauge quite a lot from Max these days at the end of the session when he's just driving back into the pits, how he sounds. If he's got no front end, or he's got bouncing, or he can't feel the brakes or whatever, you can see it, you can hear it in the tone of his voice. He sounded very relaxed, just wanted to know what everybody else was doing, what tyres they were on. And I think we should take note of that one last lap he did with heavy fuel in the Red Bull. Probably the Red Bull really quick around Baku as well, but we haven't seen it yet. FP1, he went straight on at turn 15, and what would have been his quickest lap on a new set of soft tyres. FP2, he was faffing around with the brake balance quite a lot, ran 2 sets of softs, but then very, very quick, as I say, on the heavy fuel. So we'll see how that relates to what we're going to see tomorrow, how that parlays into what we're going to see tomorrow. After that, Liam Lawson looking very good in the Racing Bulls. Wasn't a very good afternoon for Isaac Hadjar. Had some issues, but he was very quick in the morning. And also worth recording at this point that the Racing Bulls, 3:49 for Liam Lawson, the quickest I saw in a straight line, just after the start-finish line, or at the start-finish line on his quickest lap. Other top speeds of note, the Haas-Ferraris look pretty quick, 3:44. Mercedes, not too bad either, 3:43, 3:42. Max Verstappen, 3:43. The Ferraris, 3:43. Although when Lewis did his quickest lap on the medium tyre, very slow, 3:37. So maybe he's just running a bit more wing and he's got some confidence. And at the moment, the way the track is, that is helping him. Maybe the track's going to pick up grip and running that sort of wing isn't going to work over the weekend. We'll have to wait and see. And the Williams not brilliantly quick, 3:40. And the McLaren's 3:38, 3:39. As ever, not that quick either in a straight line, but out of the box again they look very, very good. I thought it was quite interesting to see Lando Norris's confidence when he came onto the track. He's one of the first out there going quickly when the track was still very green. Not a great idea on a street circuit, sliding very, very closely to the wall. And then Oscar Piastri was very late out because of some sort of battery charging issue, like he lost the first 27 minutes. But that was more than made up for a red flag, which took about 25 minutes out of the session due to debris on the track and some damage to a curb while that was repaired. So by the time the session restarted FP1, Oscar was ready to go. So that kind of took away a little bit Lando's momentum. Anyway, he was quickest in FP1. Then he began FP2 again in very confident way, this sort of turning in a little bit later than you see a Max or a Charles turning in, working the rear of the car, as does Oscar. And he just overcooked it. I should be going this way, coming out of a right-hander, hit the left rear quite hard, and the car was crabbing all the way back into the pit lane, so it was pretty obvious that was going to be relatively terminal for the day. So you could argue Lando pushing a bit too hard at the wrong stage of the weekend. Obviously, it was a wake-up call for where he's going now into the weekend. But Oscar Piastri more than making up for the time he lost in FP1 and going very well until he hit the wall too. But McLaren are looking quick, no doubt about that. Esteban Ocon relatively quick in the other Haas-Ferrari, had his moments too. But other than that, no real dramas, no real damage to any of the cars so far, touch wood. And so we go into the weekend with not too many questions correctly answered, but certainly one thing we can say, and that at the moment, the Pirelli tyres look very evenly matched across the range. So we could see a big spread going into the race, although that may change as the Baku street circuit begins to pick up grip. Anyway, that was Baku Friday. Big thanks to RAC Watches, to Jetcraft, to OEM Exclusive and to Track Ninja. We'll be back again tomorrow with our qualifying video. See you then.